Welcome back, and we're going to start today's session with Democratic candidate Jamey Laudate for the Lee County School Board. Jamey, welcome to WFJA and our
you.
candidate interviews.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Jamey, for those that might not know you that well, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and why you're seeking election for the Lee County Board of Education.
Sure. Well, first, again, thank you for having me.
Mhm.
Thank you to WFJA and the Rant for hosting.
Yep.
My name is Jamey Laudate. I'm a candidate for the Lee County School Board.
Mhm.
I'm a proud product of the Lee County public school system.
Mhm.
I graduated from Lee County High School in 1994, attended West Lee Junior High and W.B. Wicker Elementary School before that.
Oh,
And
the original W.B.
the
Wicker.
original W.B. Wicker.
Sure.
I'm also a parent of 3 children in the public school system that are currently attending Lee County High School, Wesley Middle School, and W.B. Wicker Elementary
That's
School.
right. Wow.
So that's pretty neat to have.
Yeah.
I am involved in the school system. I sit on the NAF advisory board for Southern Lee and Lee County High Schools. I am the PTSO treasurer at W.B. Wicker Elementary School. I volunteer teach a intro to coding at the elementary school level for pretty much anybody that'll have me, 4th grade classrooms. And I even coach the middle school golf team. So this is important to me. It matters to me. It's something that I will work extremely hard for once elected. My background is technology. I have a BS in computer science from NC State University. I have 20 years of corporate background with 2 great companies, Verizon and SAS. 10 of those years have been management experience. And I will claim a little bit of indirect educational background. My mom, Susan Laudate, taught for 25 years at East Lee, at Lee County High School, and at Southern Lee.
Oh, yeah.
My wife has her teaching certificate and taught 3rd grade and tutored at Tramway. And my mother-in-law, Donna Parrish, has worked for about 15 years in administrative duties at Greenwood Central Office and W.B. Wicker. So education comes up quite often.
You're loaded up with that.
Yeah. It comes up often in the household. We spend a lot of time talking about it almost daily. But that background and that experience and that connection to the community, I think, makes me uniquely qualified for the role of school board.
So, Jamey, obviously we're going to talk about COVID-19. The school board has been dealing with decisions pertaining to COVID-19 for the better part of 6+ months now, and the return to school. So what do you see as the guidelines that you as a potential school board member should follow in future votes on continuing to return children back to the schools?
Yeah. Certainly returning children to schools after COVID is a challenge unlike we've seen ever before. I have said from day one and continue to maintain that the most vulnerable demographic are teachers and staff.
Right.
And I'll extend that even to elderly caretakers, after school, maybe grandparents, that type of thing. Because statistics-wise, it seems like the kids that do get COVID have milder symptoms. I think statewide there's been about 20,000 cases under the age of 18. And I think there's only been 1 or 2 deaths and very few hospitalizations. So I think the concern is, again, for the teachers, for the staff, and for the after school caretakers. I think the school plan that they've come up with strikes a pretty good balance with that. I do think it's a balance. I understand that there are teachers that are concerned about returning to the classroom. I think there's, to my knowledge, as I understand it, there's an exceptions process for teachers that may be more at risk. Which I agree with from the school system. But at the same time, I think there are some teachers that are ready to be back in the classroom with their students. And I think there are students that need to be in the classroom. I mean, we have students that that don't have access to internet, that don't have access to a parent during school hours or during work hours to answer questions or help with technical issues or that type of thing. So it is a balance. I do agree with the AB schedule. I like the way the idea of sort of easing back into school, starting with the younger kids, and learning lessons and adjusting from those lessons as you move forward. But certainly need to monitor the active cases in the county, make sure they're not spiking or increasing. I think they have gone up a little bit in the past month or past couple weeks.
Past couple of weeks they have, yeah.
So that'll be something that the school board needs to keep an eye on and adjust accordingly for.
As you said, balance. So this brings us into the next question I have for you. So in your opinion, how effective has our remote learning been? And what has the Board of Education learned about the school system's ability to teach remotely?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because as a parent, I have specific examples that I wrote down.
Did you?
And I'm just going to sort of go through those really quickly. Teachers have embraced the educational technology, Canvas, PowerSchool, Google Classroom.
Yep.
I think that's been fantastic. The schedule's been great. The communication has been fantastic. The Google breakouts they just added, I think, in the last month or so. My fourth grader will break out into a side chat with her group, collaborate on a project, and then come back to the main classroom and sort of share their experience and what they learned. So I think that's been fantastic. My middle schooler's art teacher has been teaching art techniques virtually,
cool.
which my middle schooler is absorbing, which I think is great. I heard twice this past week from different high school teachers that they're actually ahead of schedule compared to last year as far as teaching the curriculum. The attendance rate's been very high. The discipline issues are down.
Those are good reports.
Yeah, all of these things. The virtual school spirit, our kids have had activities where they sort of stay connected as a community and that type of thing, which is really good. After school, extracurricular activities, sports, driver's ed, band, I think they're all starting back up. It seems like the precautions that they're taking are well thought out and followed up on and taken seriously. So I think it's been great. I think I was a little bit concerned about managing a virtual classroom. You heard instances where classrooms were hijacked or logged in remotely, or kids see inappropriate things.
Yeah. Early on, we heard.
Yeah, but
it could happen.
I think it was an adjustment period, and I think that hasn't been an issue at all for our kids. So I think the whole process has been fairly smooth, all things considered, and I'm extremely proud of the administrators and the teachers for their work, because I think that's a direct reflection for the work that they put in.
I think so. If you're just joining us, I am John Ramsperger with Sanford Real Estate, and we're joined by candidate Jamey Laudate for the Lee County School Board. Jamey, other than COVID-19, what do you feel are the most important issues coming up for the Board of Education?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is going to be planning for growth. We've had 700 new residential permits pulled this year, 400 last year, so a huge increase from last year. We've got about 2,000 more in the planning phases. I think everybody's familiar with Galvin's Ridge. That's about 1,000 residential permits. So this school board will build some schools. They'll make some decisions on building schools, and we need to plan for that. I'm a planner. I'm very data driven. So we need to look at the metrics for that and start making those plans now. In my opinion, those schools need to be STEAM-based schools. The science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Those are the disciplines that sort of all of the job growth is occurring in. And so we need to prepare students for that job market. So definitely STEAM. And from my conversations with parents, I think we need another year-round school option. I think that's an option that parents enjoy. I think the elementary school age kids learn well in that environment with that 3-week break in between 9 weeks. I think it helps with absorbing concepts. So I would like to see both of those increased.
So many local teachers in recent years have opted to drive out of town to teach because of higher teacher supplements. What things do you feel that the Board of Education can do to retain this group and overcome the significant supplement difference?
Retaining good teachers has to be a priority. I don't think there's any debating that. Our supplement is basically decided by the county commissioners. So I would encourage everybody viewing to reach out to those county commissioner candidates and see where they stand on that. Certainly, as a school board, we can advocate for an increase in supplement. I did look at our supplement numbers. I think the most recent data that I could find was from 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Our supplement is ahead of Harnett County and Moore County, just slightly behind Chatham County by about $200 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So those are our neighboring counties, sort of who we're competing with. And we're way behind Wake County, of course, because
Sure.
Wake County, I think, has one of the top 2 supplements in the state. We're about $4,000 behind there.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly we can advocate for an increase in stipend.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ways, non-monetary, that you can express your appreciation to a teacher and retain a teacher. I think we need to recognize teachers whenever we can.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some good programs right now with the Lee County Education Foundation and Head of the Class Initiative
Mm-hmm.
that does a great job of recognition for outstanding teachers.
And a monetary benefit to that.
And a monetary
of course,
benefit
too.
on that as well.
Yeah.
But we also need to allow teachers to innovate in the classroom. I think innovation rarely comes from the top.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the teacher level and administrative level. So I think teachers want to have that freedom and sort of, where possible, free them up from the red tape and that type of thing, and let them teach.
Mm-hmm. So to sum up, what would be your major goals as a board member for the upcoming term, and how will you make sure that you remain involved?
So my core issues that I want to implement, number one is accountability at every level, from the school board to the superintendent, administrators, teachers, faculty, staff, parents, students. All the way across the board. We all need to be working towards the same goal to achieve our full potential. We need to have transparency too. At every level, transparency leads to trust, which leads to collaboration, which leads to process improvements and progress. We need a full commitment to technology. I know that we fund technology. The past administrations have done a pretty good job with that.
The one-to-one laptop programs was
exactly
a big jumpstart for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do that on a more permanent basis, find a permanent solution for funding technology. We also need to teach technology management, particularly in preteen and teen age groups. Anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, suicide rates are all up about 100% over the last 8 years.
Is that local, state, regional?
That's
national,
countrywide, national.
National.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and I think that's related to to technology, to social media, to handling
I see your point now. Yes.
the one-up game, and sort of following everybody else and feeling that you're not
the
quite
TikTok, Instagram
adequate.
generation.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly. This is one of the first groups that will have social media in middle school,
Sure.
And there's a lot of challenges for that, and those challenges need to be taught. We also need to teach data privacy, online safety, how to handle online bullying. These are all concepts. We need to teach how to vet a source. I mean, there's information and misinformation bombarded at these kids all day long, and they need to be able to tell what's trustworthy and what's not. I need that lesson, So those are the things that I'd like to look at.
You see the interviewer nodding his head. I agree. An accountability issue for me too. We all need this stuff, but especially our kids and our youth.
Yep.
Entirely so.
Absolutely. And then the planning for growth, as I mentioned before, planning for those new schools and making sure that those schools will be designed to meet the job market.
Well, we'd like to thank Jamey Laudate for being here today and for your interest in the Lee County School Board. Thank you for taking your time out. We're going to take a short 60-second break, and when we come back, we'll finish up with candidate Sandra Bowen.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jamey.